Hello there guys, and welcome back to another epic Inexorable maths video. In this video we're taking a look at the second part of our parallel and perpendicular lines video. In this video we're going to look at an exam question. This is a total of 4 marks, this question, I seem to recall. Let me just look in the, yeah, it is indeed 4 marks. Yep, just not looking at any specific textbook or anything like that. No, of course, because I legally wouldn't be able to copy questions out of a textbook, so I'm obviously just looking at a napkin with nothing on it. Anyways guys, 4 marks. We're looking at a question like this. Notes are the same, equations are the same, haven't changed anything like that, but we are looking at an exam question. So let's just have a read through the exam question together, shall we? A line L1 has equation 5x plus 11y minus 7 equals 0. So that's in the alternate form, ax plus b y plus c equals 0. And it crosses the x-axis at the point P. The line L2 is perpendicular to L1 and also passes through P. Find the coordinates of P and then find the full equation of L1, the full equation of L2. Okay, so the first part of this is that we need to find the coordinates of P. Finding the coordinates will give you 1 mark. So we want to find the coordinates of P. How do we do it? Well, we get told that it crosses the x-axis at P. So all we have to do, you can do it 2 ways actually. Either you can turn this back into the normal y equals mx plus c, and then you can deal with it, or we can just go straight for it. I would say let's turn it into y equals mx plus c, but you don't actually have to do that. It's just that in the second part, it will be quite nice to have it in the form y equals mx plus c, so let's just convert it now. Though if you're curious, the way that you would do it without converting is you would simply say, well, what is, when we're on the x-axis, what is 0? Well, it's y. So all you would do in this equation is set y equal to 0, and then you would get 5x minus 7 equals 0, and you would just solve that. That's fine. We can do it the other way though. So the first part of this is we're going to rearrange and get this into the form y equals mx plus c. Okay, so we're going to start off with what we get given in the question, which is 5x plus 11y minus 7 equals 0. That's just what we get given in the question. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add, let's do it this way, let's add 7 to both sides. So we're going to get 5x plus 11y equals 7, because we want to make y the subject, don't we? And then let's take away 5x from both sides. So we get 11y equals minus 5x plus 7, just like that, because we've taken 5x away from both sides. Equally, you can have 7 minus 5x, but we like to have our x before, because this is mx plus c, right? So we like to have the x before the constant. That's why I've written those that way around. Finally, we need to divide by 11, don't we? Because this is 11y. We don't want 11y, we want 1y. So let's divide by 11. Let's make everything 11 times smaller. We then get y equals minus 5 over 11x plus 7 over 11. And guys, again, when we're on the x-axis, what is 0? Well, it's y, isn't it? We already know, by the way, we actually know that the point P, I'll say P equals, this is where we'll put it, it's going to be some x coordinate that we don't know, 0, isn't it? We know the y coordinate is 0, so we're actually only looking for the x coordinate, really, because we instantly know it's on the x-axis. It tells us that in the question. It crosses the x-axis at P, which means P is on the x-axis, which means that its y component must be 0. Okay, so if its y component is 0, let's set y equal to 0, and let's solve this thing. So we're going to say that 0 now is equal to minus 5 over 11x plus 7 over 11. Oh, 7 over 11. And then let's rearrange, and let's add 5x to both sides. We get, let's add 5 over 11x to both sides. We get 5 over 11x equals 7 over 11. Let's multiply both sides by 11. We get 5x equals 7. And then let's divide both sides by 5. X equals 7 over 5. 7 divided by 5. Therefore, the point P is at 7/5, 0. Boom, that's 1 mark. Now, you might think, well, that's actually quite a lot of work for 1 mark. There's actually quite a few things. As I said, you can do it the other way, which is faster, which will give you 5x plus 11 times 0, because again, we're looking at this 0 here for the y. 5x plus 0 minus 7 equals 0. 5x equals 7 if you add 7 to both sides. And then so you get x equals 7 divided by 5, which is much faster. But we've actually saved ourselves some time, so don't feel bad about it, because we've got this. Where is it? We've got this, which is the equation of L1. So we actually did that already. So it's no problem. We've still got the answer, and we've got the equation of L1, which is going to help us quite a lot. In the second part of this question, we want to find, we found the coordinate of P. Now we need to find the equation of L2. We've found the equation of L1. We need the equation of L2. So why, first of all, how do we find L2? Like L2? How are we supposed to do that? Well, actually, it's not too difficult, because we have something. Remember, in the question, it tells us that the gradient of L2, or not specific, the gradient, the line L2 is perpendicular to L1, which means their gradients are perpendicular, or their gradients multiply to make -1, or however you've remembered it, you know, m2 equals minus 1 over m1, or whatever. That's true because they are perpendicular, as it says in the question. So guys, what's the gradient of this line? It's minus 5/11. That's the gradient. So what's the gradient? That's L1. I'll label this L1 for you. Which means the gradient of L2, let's do it over here. This is going to be the second part. This is a 3-mark part, by the way, guys. And by the way, I'm sure part of the getting those marks will be from doing this. So don't worry. We've already done more. Probably we don't have 3 marks of work to do. So if the gradient of L1 is minus 5/11, well, let's find the gradient M. Let's call it M2 is equal to -1 over M1, right? Seems legit, you know, that's the equation. So we're looking for M2, that's the gradient of L2. Well, we just go M2 is equal to -1 over M1. M1 is minus 5/11. So we just go like this, like so. And then we get M2 is equal to, well, that's a negative and that's a negative. Those cancel out. So we get 1 over 5 over 11, just like this, because the negatives cancel out. And finally, we get M2 is equal to, now, the way that you do this, if you don't know, is either you can just rewrite this as 1 over 1, because that's just the number 1, isn't it, divided by 5 over 11. And then what you can do is you can do keep, flip, change. Okay, you can do that because this is a fraction divided by a fraction. The number 1, that's where we got this guy from. 1 divided by 5 over 11. 1 over 1 divided by 5 over 11. You can do that, or you can remember a really, really helpful trick. If you do the reciprocal of a fraction, it just flips the fraction. So 1 over 5 over 11 is simply 11 over 5. That's all you have to do, okay? So basically, if you divide by, if you have like 1 divided by 5 divided by 11, basically the 11 just shoots up here. It's good to remember, it's fast. So or you could do keep, flip, change if you want to. Or you could just put it on a calculator because you're allowed a calculator in all of your exams. So this is the new gradient. This is the gradient of L2. Beautiful. Now guys, remember from a previous video, we used a formula that went a little something like y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. I hope you guys remember that formula. Now, all we have to do is, and this is, by the way, this formula is used if you have, and again, you can watch my videos, I've done a video on this. You use this formula if you've got the gradient of a line and one coordinate pair, so an x and a y coordinate. That will give you, using this formula, that will give you the full equation of the line, okay? So I will put a link to that video in the description, so you can, if you haven't seen it, you can go and watch it. and that will explain how to use this formula, but we're going to assume that you already know how to use this formula, and we're going to just use it. So M2, I'm now just going to say we're only looking, we don't care about L1 anymore, we've done all of the work with that, so I'm actually just going to call this M. I'm just going to call it M, that's all we need. We don't care about M1, L1, no, we want the sequel, guys. We want the new, just a new model, which is L2, M2, okay? We're just going to pretend this is just the new line, the only line we're talking about. That's the gradient of it, 11 over 5, okay? 11 over 5 is the new gradient. Now, using this formula, we actually do have an x1, y1, don't we? It's P, because we know that L2 also passes through P. So L2 also goes through this point, which means we can use it. So guys, we're going to say that x1, y1 for this formula is going to be equal to 7/5 0. This is the x1, y1 that we're going to use. That's the point that we know is definitely on the line L2. So guys, just using this formula, y1 is 0, so y minus 0 is equal to m is 11/5, times x minus x1, and x1 is 7/5, just like that. And again, guys, we just need to simplify this, expand it out and whatnot. So y minus 0, that's just y, is equal to 11/5 times x is 11/5 x. And then 11/5 times minus 7/5, and it's a negative, so it's going to be a negative. And then we're going to do essentially 11 times 7, which is 77, over 5 times 5, which is 25. And essentially that is going to be the answer. That will not simplify, there's no common factors between 77 and 25. And so that is essentially the answer. This is the equation of L2. And that is the answer. And in total, all of that, that's 4 marks in an actual A-level maths paper. So that's pretty good, guys. If you can manage to do that, then that's brilliant. So we will be doing more videos, a lot like this for straight lines, where we're going to be solving problems, because these are like actual exam questions. There's a bit more to do than just, are these lines parallel or perpendicular? It's problem solving, it's figuring out what can we deduce from these questions. So if it says perpendicular, we know to use minus 1 over m. If it says, you know, ax plus by plus c equals 0, we need to be able to convert freely between that and y equals mx plus c. We need to have all of this knowledge. We need to understand that if something crosses the x-axis at P, the y component of its coordinate will be 0. We need to understand all of these things and be able to use them efficiently in an exam. This is a 4-mark question. You won't have much longer than 4 minutes rather to do it, so you need to be quick with it. Of course, this video has been much longer than 4 minutes, so you need to be able to go through it fast. That's where the practice comes in. You do practice questions, you're so solid, you're really good. So do as many practice questions as you can that are like this, because they can be different. They can really adapt your mind to this sort of question, and that's all you have to do. And we will be continuing straight lines in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching, highly appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.